Today I'm talking with the master Jim Davis of WebDM. We will be talking about all things D&D, including his Dungeon Master tips and his player advice and everything else in between.
Number one player tip, DM tip would be just to relax. That as even someone like myself who's been running games for a long time, I still get that nervous energy. I still worry. I still wonder whether the players are going to like it or not. And I think just relaxing and saying, you know what, this is a low stakes hobby. we're here to just have a good time and do something interesting and exercise our imaginations. And as long as those things are present, then relaxing a little bit, letting the players explore your world, letting them talk to NPCs, do things unexpected, you'll be surprised, and you'll be forced into situations where you have to think creatively as a dungeon master, and that's really the best way to get better at it, is to face the unexpected with a sort of relaxed demeanor and a confidence that you're going to be fine, you'll run the game, and everyone's going to enjoy themselves.
What makes you most excited? Like when players make decisions in your game, what are the things they do that make you want to come back and be a dungeon master?
I want them to change my setting. I want them to have ambitions and goals beyond clearing out an orc lair or getting new spells. I want them to say things like, we're going to open a plane of, or open a portal to the plane of water in this desert to create an ocean. Or we are going to start a revolution that overthrows the kingdom for something better. I want them to take the world that I've created and realize that it is meant to be played in and changed and altered, and not worry about preserving something that I don't want players to worry about that. I want them to say, no, I'm going to make my mark on this place, and that's the way that you can get a kind of collaboration between DM and player, that the game becomes both of theirs, and that's really what I love about it. Yeah.
Do you think that's a key limitation when it comes to settings that already exist in D&D sometimes? Because is there enough room for more heroes of the Lance? Are there enough, is there enough room to become the most powerful wizard in the Forgotten Realms? Is that part of the enjoyment of creating your own world as well?
I would say definitely it's the enjoyment of creating your own world, is that it's yours, and the players, the characters that they create have the opportunity to take center stage. That doesn't mean that I won't wreck a published setting, though. And just, you guys, my Forgotten Realms is a wasteland, because the last campaign I ran in, it was an evil game, and the players were thoroughly evil and thoroughly ambitious.
So you can always make the campaign settings, the typical D&D campaign settings that are out there, yours, and not to forget that, not to be precious about that.
Yeah. And, if you're running, say, in Faerun, and you don't like the certain high-level spellcaster that lives in a certain Shadowdale, then do what you want with that. Have it be a legend. Maybe the myth of Elminster or Drist or something is just stories that have been passed down, and they're just normal people, powerful mage and a skilled warrior, but they're not these epic-level NPCs that you have to kind of play around. You can change things, and you can make it your own. And if you're just starting out, that's a great way to get accustomed to the game, is to take a published setting and change it, alter it, make it your own, play in it, and have it be yours. And at the end of the campaign, it's the players as well, and hopefully everybody's had a great time investing in it as well.
What stories now get you excited?
For stories, I get really excited by stories of people overcoming systematic adversity, if that makes any sense. I like stories of people dealing with complex issues and complex problems and staying true to their ideals, staying true to what makes them who they are, but also overcoming and changing. Maybe a very broad answer, but I like complexity in my stories mostly, particularly from protagonists, particularly for people who grapple with complex problems or problems that don't have an easy solution. And I try to create those situations in my role-playing games as well.
Has additions to 5th edition, like Xanathar's Guide to Everything, changed your opinions about certain classes?
the additional material that's in books like Xanathar's have made me relax on some of my opinions about the classes and made me think like, they don't need to be these very rigid, one-way type of, suites of abilities. They can be...
Which when you're really old school like you and I, like AD&D,
yeah,
wizard has 4 hit points kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're like, you don't want anybody touching your magic.
No.
It's hard to work your way out of that. And I know that you have had some issues with sorcerers.
I have.
Who have taken so much from so many.
Yes, they have. So my primary issues with sorcerers were that I liked when the themes of both sorcerer and wizard were combined into one class. That this is someone with a spark inside them that allows them to channel this magical energy, and they have practiced and studied and trained and used the wisdom of the ancients to hone their innate talent. And then, so mechanically, how that the split between wizard and sorcerer in 5th edition, I guess I wish that sorcerers had a bit more than they do have right now. Maybe more spells or something. But really, I'll be perfectly honest and completely frank, I just wish everybody had meta magic. That's my real beef with sorcerers, is that they're the only ones with meta magic.
Do you also have beef with spell restrictions in general?
I don't. I think spell restrictions are a really powerful tool for the Dungeon Master to create their world and to, I don't like it when a Dungeon Master says, hey, I really don't like high-level divinations because I have yet to develop the tools to handle those things in play. I would encourage those Dungeon Masters to develop skills to handle, say, high-level divinations or something, or high-level illusions or whatever. But if you're approaching it from listen, my world doesn't have teleportation because no one's invented that yet, then limiting spell selection and what classes have access to what spells is a really powerful tool of world building. And it's also one of those things that it gives the player characters an option to say, like, well, what if my character was the one to invent this thing that hasn't existed yet? Or what if my character was the one to break out of these restrictions and do something different? That's usually how I approach those things. They're always an opportunity for the player to be the exception and do something different.
How do you encourage someone to be a Dungeon Master?
I would say it's not as difficult as it might seem at first. And there are a wealth of resources out there now that for those of us who started, say, in earlier decades where it was literally you read the DMG and maybe talk to another Dungeon Master about it, I would say that it's a exercise in creativity and cooperative storytelling doesn't quite nail it, but it's a type of collaborative play that you get to sort of lead and direct and guide, but you also get to take ideas that other people give at you and mold them and shape them and represent them back to the players as something interesting and engaging. It's an exercise in problem solving and creative thinking, in understanding how people work, and sort of like being able to read a table is one of those skills that you'll eventually develop. In terms of getting new Dungeon Masters into the seat and behind the screen, try a one-shot. Try just a little intro or something. If you've never done it before, give it a shot. You might not love it, but it's worth the experience behind the screen because it's another way to play the game and it's another perspective on the game. And I find it so rewarding that it just feels like it's worth it in and of itself sometimes. It was just something that I discovered these games, role-playing games, and realized that I wanted to play them. I wanted this to be a thing that I do, and realized very early on that if that was going to happen, then I needed to be the one to make that happen, to get the people together, to come up with an adventure, and to run it. So it's just, it's really I maybe played 3 or 4 characters over my entire role-playing career that I would call like having really played them. I'm mostly a Dungeon Master, and I love it. I prefer it that way.
Thank you so much, Jim Davis, for being on the show. I'm Todd Kenrick. Thank you so much for watching.